I'd now like to introduce our guest speaker. Auditor Mike Kovack is a graduate of Wadsworth High School and holds his master's degree in public finance from the University of Akron, where he was recognized as a presidential scholar by the first President Bush. Mr. Kovack and his office have received numerous local, state, and national awards, including being the first Medina County Auditor to receive the Outstanding Auditor Award from the County Auditors Association of Ohio. Mr. Kovack's 28 years of service in the United States Navy included 4 years of active duty as a communications intelligence officer and in the reserves as a commanding officer of the USS Sierra Reserve Unit. After his return to active reserve duty in 2002, Mr. Kovack served tours of duty at the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Pentagon, the United States Central Command under General David Petraeus, and 2 overseas tours with the Army in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. Our Medina County Auditor since 1993, please join me in welcoming retired United States Navy Commander Mike Kovack.
Good morning, Hinckley. Good morning. And good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules today to help remember Memorial Day. Thank you also to your township trustees, Ray Schulte, Dave Sambor, Martha Catherwood, and your fiscal officer / county recorder, Colleen Swedick. They all do fine jobs for you, and you're very fortunate for their service. Let's give them a nice round of applause. I want to thank Mr. Ott and the Highland Marching Hornets for coming out here today. I thought the percussion section was particularly outstanding under Carolyn Kosowski's leadership there. Let's give them a nice round of applause. It always makes the difference to have you here on Memorial Day. And also thank you to Boy Scout Troop 520, and I'm sure the Cub Scouts also, who put the flags out in the local cemeteries and also down on Western Reserve Cemetery. We certainly appreciate your service, guys. And now if I could take a minute and have all our veterans with us today. Either stand up if you're sitting or if you're in the crowd, please raise your hand, and let's not applaud yet. Families, make sure they raise their hands. Sometimes they're apt not to do that. But if you could take a minute and turn and thank these ladies and gentlemen for their service today and give them a round of applause. Thank you very much, veterans. Thank you for your service. It has now been over 35 years ago that I was a musician in the Wadsworth High School band, taking part in Memorial Day cemeteries just like our musical Hornets are doing today. I did it twice, and I only have the most vague recollection of that time. It would have been 1977 or 1978, only 3 or 4 years removed from the Vietnam War. But I was very fortunate that no families that I knew were touched by that war. None of them had lost children in that war. And so Memorial Day at the time didn't mean that much to me. And as we stand here in 2014, I have one fervent wish for you. Actually, I wish for our children and our young adults who are out there with us today. And that wish is that Memorial Day never means that much to you. I hope it doesn't mean that much to you, because rather than a day of celebration, Memorial Day is a time of remembrance. It's a time of gut-wrenching feelings, and it's a time when the most horrific events imaginable come flashing back through our veterans' minds. Memorial Day is a day when you see tough, battle-hardened veterans cry, and it's a day for all of us to remember the promise and bright futures that lay buried in Maple Hill Cemetery up the road and in cemeteries across the country. During the program today, the trustees will note veterans who have recently passed away. Walter Robb, bless his soul, Henry Ernest Bruno, Nicholas Dudar, and others. All good men, but all men who lived a full life following their military service. And as we stand here this Memorial Day, it's good that we recognize our veterans who survived their service and blessed us with their presence upon their return. But the real tragedy of Memorial Day, the part that brings grown men to their knees, is not the fact that we honor Walter Robb and others like him today. The sorrow, the heartbreak, and the horror of today is that we honor men like Ray Huff, Walter Sauer, Charles Schoolcraft, Devin Grella, and Dan Holland on this Memorial Day. These are men who never returned to us from war. Those names are not known to most of us today, and they won't be known to most of us tomorrow. But Memorial Day is about taking a moment to stop and consider their sacrifices and the sacrifices of their families. Huff, Sauer, and Schoolcraft were all privates first class from Hinckley, Ohio. Schoolcraft died at the age of 27 in Vietnam. Walter Sauer and Ray Huff were 20 and 21 years old when they were killed in Vietnam. David Grella, as some of you know, is a Medina High School graduate, class of 2002, standing where you are standing right now, not that long ago. He was an Eagle Scout. He sang in the choir, he ran cross country, and he played lacrosse. A memorial is dedicated to him at Blakesley Park in Medina Township. United States Army PFC Devin Grella died in Iraq at the age of 21. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Holland was a brother-in-arms of mine in Iraq. In 2005, I was part of a 50-member unit. It was the first Navy personnel to assist the Army on the ground in Iraq with the Hearts and Minds campaign. We were called Civil Affairs teams. Now, the crux of everything that was done in Iraq was based on what was called RAM, or Random Anti-Terrorism Measures. That meant you never did the same thing twice in a row to keep the bad guys guessing about where you'd be. Never leave at the same time, never leave from the same gate, never take the same road, etc., etc. This, of course, was done to make it harder to kill us. We liked random anti-terrorism measures. Well, random anti-terrorism measures were great for combat patrols. We in Civil Affairs had a little different problem. We were there to help the Iraqi people reconstruct their government and their economy. That meant, number one, that we had to go out and meet with Iraqi government officials and Iraqi businessmen. Number two, this meant we had to make appointments to meet with them and let them know when we were coming. And number three, we also had to let them know where we were going to meet. Civil Affairs didn't always recruit the brightest people to their task. And I tell you what, the Army and Marine security detachments that escorted us out on every mission just hated to go. It went against all the random anti-terrorism measures that they were preaching every day. And when we had to go out on missions, they just look at you like you were crazy. But anyhow, as you might imagine, Civil Affairs units took some of the highest casualty counts in the Iraq War. Afghanistan, too. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Holland was one of the kindest, gentlest people I ever knew. He was a veterinarian by trade. He was there to help out Iraqi farmers put their country back together. He was the first of 6 casualties out of our unit, killed by an improvised explosive device 2 weeks after we touched down. He left behind a wife and 2 children, and he was 43 years old. As we stand up the hill from Ridge Cemetery today, it's good for us to remember President Lincoln's words at Gettysburg. We cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men and women, living and dead, our nation's veterans, have consecrated it far above our power to add or detract. For the military man and woman, there is nothing is gut-wrenching and tragic as losing comrades on the battlefield. The pain and the emotion overwhelm you at times. We grieve and carry those images for the rest of our lives, even though we seek to bury them, but images that always resurface at inappropriate moments and always on Memorial Day. Never forget these deaths. Huff, Sauer, Schoolcraft, Grella, Holland, and the death of every American serviceman overseas, and let them stand as beacons to us and to our nation about the terrible cost of war. And so, ladies and gentlemen, my wish for you, for our children and for our children's children, is that Memorial Day never ever have the deep meaning for you that it has for so many of our veterans in attendance today. I wish it didn't mean so much to me. For those comrades who have passed away, whom we honor today, may God have mercy on their souls, And may God watch over all our military personnel at home and overseas and bring each and every one of them home safely. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy days for this memorial remembrance, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mike.